My guest today is Ashutosh. He's joining in to discuss certain aspects of how he should plan his child's education. Ashutosh, thanks so much for taking the time for speaking to us and for agreeing to be part of this. And hopefully this conversation is going to be beneficial for you. I'm going to take everybody through the snapshot of what you've shared with us. You've said that you're an entrepreneur. You've started your business sometime last year, and it's a growing business. But you draw a salary. 1.5 lakhs is what you draw. Along with your wife, you earn 2.8 lakhs cumulatively. Your expenses currently are 1.2 lakhs, and you do SIPs of 15,000 rupees. You've also got a term insurance. You've got a couple of fixed deposits, and your current corpus is about 70 lakh rupees. You live in your own home, and you have a couple of liabilities, home loan as well as car loan. Have you thought about how much you need, Ashutosh, to cater to your child's education?
Hi, Alex. Thank you for having me. So the question was, it was a pertinent question for me to, plan my child's education. And, we all know that, the expenses are rising, expenses are touching the roof. So in order to plan my child's education, how do I can plan as of now? I mean, starting from today itself, how do I can plan it? And if I really want to send my child abroad for his graduation and post-graduation, how do we do that? So that is what I would like to ask from Mr. Dhawan.
And there's also the aspect of how to plan your retirement. Vishal?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think it's, these are two sort of very important goals clearly that Ashutosh is talking about. And I think it's great to know that, at his age, he's already thinking about it because obviously, the child is only 1 year old. So it's good to start early, clearly, as far as these goals are concerned. I think let's start off with education. And one of the things that's really important with education is, how do you plan for it in terms of when you look at an overseas education? You can plan for it in two ways. One is saying that, let's look at what are the alternatives, and let me pick a particular geography. So let's say the most popular geographies today could be Singapore, the US, the UK, Australia, Canada. Those are typical geographies. Now, the cost of education in each of these geographies varies significantly. And obviously, at the age of 1, it's very hard for either Ashutosh or his wife or his child to figure out, which one is that geography. So you'd probably say that, okay, let me start with what is the most expensive, because I don't know. I don't know the program, I don't know the country. I just know that I'd like an international education for my children. Then you got to define, is it going to be graduation, post-graduation, both? How much will I support of it? Will I give all of that cost? All of those things.
So let's do the maximum.
Yeah. So typically we always suggest the maximum. So typically today for an undergraduation, if you went to a high quality US school, which is probably the most expensive, you will find that costs vary between $70,000 a year to $90,000 a year.
Okay.
And this is today's cost, which means that we have to apply two things: education inflation and currency depreciation on top of that.
Give me the bad news.
So the real numbers, as we visualize it, is that you want to plan for $80,000 a year for 4 years.
Yes.
Because undergrad is 4 years. And then for post-graduation, it's another $100,000 at an Ivy League today. And when I talk about these numbers, I'm including living expenses and tuition and everything else which happens. Your kids are overseas, you will travel there, they will come back, all of that will also take place. So that's typically the kind of cost that we're talking about.
So 360,000, 460,000, possibly more. And we've not inflated it yet.
Yes, and we've not inflated it yet. And you don't want to think about the inflated numbers because, one of the things that it's always good to do is always think about today's costs and then apply inflation. So, but we're talking about $500,000 to $0.6 million at today's cost.
At today's cost. Ashutosh, is that something that seems a little far-fetched, or do you think that this is something that you'd like to work towards? $500,000?
Honestly speaking, I mean, we are actually working in that direction. We would like to make it happen for our child. And maybe what you said, we will work towards it and we'll try and make it happen for our child.
Okay, so we've got a sense of how much is needed at this current juncture, and we have clarity on the fact that Ashutosh, you want to do this. This is an endeavor. A clarification based on what Vishal has just said, would you be okay with accumulating a part of it, perhaps even most of it, and then taking an education loan down the road?
Yeah, we can think on those lines, certainly.
Okay.
And because at the same time, we are also planning to have our retirement planning. I mean, we're planning to have this in place, right? Retirement plan is also there. So we need to plan accordingly. I don't want to compromise on our retirement as well.
Yeah.
Maybe we can go to that, to that road where we can take an education loan for our child and we can fund it.
Yeah, so I think that's a very important point you make, Ashutosh, because there will be some trade-offs involved between retirement and education for you as well. Probably even if you decide to, support only a part of the education. And clearly, our suggestion would always be that, you prioritize retirement because that's not something that you'll be able to get a loan for, unlike the education bit. So fundamentally, the way we look at it is basis your cash flows. If you're able to save away about 12 lakh rupees a year, okay, and you're able to grow this by 6% every year.
All right.
And once your other loans finish, because you have a car loan, you have a home loan, so you'll have more cash flow surplus once those loans are over. Then you don't spend that money, but you go and add it back to your requirement. Then what you probably need is something like about 9 lakhs of additional income per year. So the advantage is that you run a business, and therefore you have probably a little bit more control in terms of how your cash flows can get better, either through investing more in your business or through just maybe working harder or running the business differently from how you're doing it currently. I'm obviously not that expert, but clearly, the way I'm thinking about it is if you could find an additional 9 lakhs on top of the 12 lakhs that I spoke about, and you have a clear plan saying, I want to increase this as inflation grows, and I will always ensure that, I don't allow too much of a lifestyle creep to happen, which is a problem that many families will end up facing as you get older. I think you're in a good place to be able to support education and your retirement to the retirement really fully, and the education to a reasonable enough extent that the aspirations can actually be achieved.
So what you're saying, Vishal, is that he needs to save 9 lakhs and then down the road he needs to do 12 lakh more?
So 12 lakhs, anyway, his cash flow surplus allows him to do today. The difference between his income and expenses allow that already outside of his loans.
Okay.
Okay.
But he's doing only 15,000. Vishal, you're doing only 15,000 right now, na?
Yeah, I mean, as of now, we're doing 15,000.
Yeah, so you need to up that to that 12 lakh number. So that's your first target. In the meanwhile, you need to figure out how else do I get an additional 9 lakhs into that kitty, because that's when my aspirations start to become achievable.